And in Studio B now is the head golf coach at BYU. His team is in the top 10. His name is Bruce Brockbank. Bruce, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
What does a top 10 ranking mean for your program at this moment?
Well, it's obviously very exciting. And, losing Patrick Fishburne and C.J. Lee last year, we were trying to figure out how we were going to fill those voids. And the kids have really stepped up this year. It's been, from top to bottom. You're going to mention Peter Quest. He's been just sensational this fall. And that's kind of the way he prepares himself. He wants to be great at this level and also at the next. And then you've got to have younger kids step up, and we've really had that.
Tell us about some of these younger guys who have helped you do this, because Peter Quest by himself couldn't carry you into the top 10 per se. It's got to be a team effort.
Yeah, well, his 3 wins have obviously helped, but then you've also got Austin Bands, Chad Hardy, Kelton Hirsch, Rhett Rasmussen, and then, the young man that just returned from a mission in June, Carson Lundell, has been a big part of that.
Now, that is harder than you think, because even a guy like Daniel Summerhays struggled to find his way back after his mission. He's playing on the PGA Tour now and has done great things. That is a tough transition.
No question about it. And what's interesting is we've never, in September we were talking about, Coach Miller and I were talking about, wow, this is quite amazing to see what Carson's done. He starts off with a 6th place finish, a 2nd place finish, and then an 11th, and now he's starting to feel some of those growing pains. He's had a couple of down times, and it's been frustrating for him, but, we keep telling him, hey, that's all part of taking 2 years off. And it's also, it's a game of golf. You don't always get to play well.
Can missionaries play golf? Like, if you're in the States or somewhere internationally, I have no idea. So certain sports, on your mission, you could kind of maintain a little bit of that, like football, the physicality, you could lift or whatever. Golf is very, very physical, but also very finesse. That transition is probably difficult. It's
very difficult. And everybody, as in my 27 years, each kid's different, Some will come back and play really well, and then you hit that little dip. Some will come back and you can't break 80 for months at a time, and it's really frustrating.
It's been 11 years later.
and then you'll have guys that come back, and you just start the climb, and it gets better with time. But it's unique, because we had one other guy comes to mind, Jake Ellison. He was in I think he was in Taiwan, and he came back, and the first day hadn't touched a club in 2 years. And shoots 72. Okay.
Wow.
Now, and I think it was the first or second day back, and he played in a tournament. Now, Lundell, on the other hand, this kid's been quite remarkable, really. But you got to remember, he was in Tucson. I think he worked really hard, but I think he also saw some of the golf courses on occasion when he was either teaching or whatever the case may be, because he came back a little sharper than most.
Visualize, right? And perhaps play a little bit while you're out there. Bruce Brockbank, the head men's golf coach for BYU, with us on BYU Sports Nation. How would you describe the results for your team this season compared to expectations you had in the preseason?
We were hoping that our big guys, if you will, Peter and Rhett, were really going to step up and play well, because you got to have that. Your top guys really have to perform. And then, you're hoping those guys that didn't play a whole lot last year were practicing really hard. And we found out that we had some guys that were working, and they came back, and they've really stepped up. I'll point out our last tournament in Monterey. You got your 5 guy, who's Austin Bands from Salt Lake City, and a guy that I wasn't sure who was going to play. He just his game hadn't come back, and all of a sudden this kid's right in the lineup and helping us every tournament. And then we get to Poppy Hills, and your 5 guys shoot 69 in the first and second round. And, boy, that makes everybody look good when your 5 guys shooting those kind of scores.
Is it fair to say that your team has exceeded your expectations thus far?
No question, but you also, it comes from, the leadership. When Peter winning 3 out of 5 events, I haven't seen that in 27 years.
That's amazing.
And I'm not sure Coach Tucker saw a lot of that either. Now,
wow.
He did have some, Bobby Clampett was our player of the year in college golf, and so he may have been close to that, but 3 out of 5 that's pretty special.
That's impressive. When things go bad, we say, well, it's cold weather, right? So things are going well. So how are you overcoming that idea?
Well, let's be truthful. We're leading by 14 shots that last tournament, and we end up getting beat. So things are all not hunky-dory. I mean, the guys are a little, we left the season with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and we need that because, the fall's one thing. We need to step up and play in the spring, and from March to May is when you really want to be playing with a lot of momentum. So that's where we really are setting up to play great golf. So
tell us about this unique season that you have where, okay, you've played and now you take a break and then you'll resume kind of after the holidays, which is kind of ideal, right? Like, all right, we're into it. We have a chip on our shoulder. We're motivated, and then you come back later.
Yeah, you start in every Division I team. I think all the golf teams around the country, Division I, II, III, they have the same rule. 144 days, and you got to start and stop your season in the fall, and then take that break, and then you start it and go till the end of your conference championship, and it adds up to 144. And so it's perfect for a cold weather school. Time for us to get the academics back in shape, if you will, after a bunch of travel.
They need it.
Yes, they need it. And so we're excited. We're working out, and just trying to get better as the cold weather comes in, and we'll try to make do with what we have and be ready to go in January.
It's really hard to have a great season, and BYU Golf finished off a great season last year. It's another thing to be consistently great, and that is, I think, what everybody wants to get to. So at what point is it fair to call BYU Golf a top golf program consistently in the country?
Well, we have a long way to go, but I will say this, the young men that we have on the team and have had in the last few years, we've had stretches where we've had great teams. But to continue to do it year in and year out in a cold weather part of the country is a big challenge. But we have some kids that we have signed recently and also that are out in the mission field that we feel like we can definitely be competitive. Can we be a top 10 team, top 20 team? Well, that's obviously the goal. But we definitely have some, our kids have to step up like these young men have in the last 4 or 5 tournaments.
Do you take extra satisfaction in beating the schools from California and Arizona and Texas and Florida?
Anytime you can beat those guys, there's always great satisfaction.
Let's talk about you joining the top 10 club on campus, by the way. Women's volleyball ranked number 1. Cross country has been ranked 2nd. Women's cross country
number 9. Mm-hmm.
And then you guys jump into the top 10. Am I missing something?
No, that's 4 top 10 teams.
4 top 10 teams. So there's some pressure internally, right, to join that club?
No question about it. We're grateful to be there and be in that group. We've got a long way to go because there's a lot of great golf teams around the country. So we've got some, a bunch of work ahead of us, and hopefully the putts are falling when we need it the most.
Has there been a moment this fall specifically where you're watching Peter Quest specifically and you just think, wow, he's just really, really good? Like, can you pinpoint a moment or two for us?
Well, perfect. When you ask that question, the perfect answer was Todd Miller. He was last week at Poppy Hills. They got 5 par 3s on this golf course.
And this is in Monterey, California. And the par 3s are awesome. And they've got those hole locations put on the side slopes. I mean, they are in the worst spots, okay? And Peter Quest he is tearing it up all over the place. But every time you looked up, I'd be walking with the group behind, I'd look up, and there's a golf ball, 2 or 3 feet from the hole. And Todd would walk over and go, "That's Peter." He said, "I have not seen a guy hit the ball like this in a long time." And he compared it to his dad. Now, you got to remember, Johnny was one of the best ball strikers that you've ever seen. And Peter had a week like that. He was hitting wedges, 7 irons, 5 irons within 3-4 feet for 3 days in a row, and the putt started going in, and he was pouring it on. I mean, the kid, he won by 5 shots, and he had a triple and 2 doubles, and still won by that. So, again, you don't get those weeks very often, but we're enjoying them while he's getting them. We did give him the karma, Jarom.
Yes, we did. He's also good. But we call him Peter Quest for Perfection. Is that okay with you?
Very good. I like it. Because he's on his way.
He is. He really is.
Coach, great to have you with us in studio. We have a new flag, I think, since the last time you were here. The Sailor Coug is behind you. So if you wouldn't mind giving us your autograph. And let's go ahead and extend the BYU Sports Nation karma to you and your team.
Yeah,
Wow,
to have a great
great.
academic break.
I know, Peter. I noticed
Or
Peter
golf break
Quest.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter's there.
Peter signed it. So
We want
have
it on there right now.
We have a future PGA Tour guy already up there, which is great. Yeah.
Don't
awesome.
put any heat on it.